Hello students, welcome back to the lecture on decision analysis. We are in the 6th module and this particular module is dedicated to talking about the various factors that influence the decision quality. We have seen this in one of the earlier lectures. The first one that impacts the decision quality is the framing of the problem. We are going to have 2 lectures on framing a decision. One is meta decision, and we are going to talk about this in this lecture, and second is how to create a winning frame, which will be the next lecture. Let us get into the topic now. Look at this funny picture. What do you understand from this? He has decided too quickly that this is something very interesting for him, but actually if he turns around and then looks at it, he will understand what he would see. This is actually explaining the concept of meta decision pretty well. So before we get into making a decision, there are a set of steps that we need to consider. We should not immediately jump into making a decision, and that is what is going to be discussed during this lecture. The various steps that are involved in the decision making process are meta decision, framing, alternatives, information, reasoning, and then finally acting on the decision. Let's very briefly look at each one of them. Meta decision is getting a glimpse of what's going on, getting a perspective of what is going on, an idea, okay? And once you get a fair idea about what's going on, then you can go ahead and then define the problem. You can get into it and then define the problem. Once you define the problem and set the objective of your decision making, then you can start looking at the alternatives that are available to you to choose from. So in order to choose the best alternative, you need to have a set of information. With this information, you can do reasoning. And the reasoning is the process by which you are connecting the alternatives with the problem objective. Is this alternative the best way to achieve the problem objective is what you will be studying when you actually do a reasoning. And once you do this, a decision will become automatic. You will have a conviction about the decision and you will be able to act upon it. Because we have studied that decision is an irrevocable commitment of resources and it is actional thought. It's not a wishful thinking, but it's an actional thought. But in order to make that, you need to follow all these processes to make a quality decision. If I ask you this question, in which process do we spend the maximum time while making a decision? We'll all find that the decision or acting is the one where we spend a lot of time, and maybe a lot more time in the reasoning as well. You will have a team and then you will reason it out and then you will make a decision. But actually speaking, we spend very little time in the earlier process. So the graph that you are seeing here depicts our typical behavior in making a decision. But in fact, we should be spending a lot of time in the earlier processes, which will aid the decision making, and it will be instantaneous when you have spent sufficient time in the earlier processes. A meta decision is defined by a set of questions. When you are in the stage of meta decision, you need to ask certain fundamental questions, and that's all about the meta decision. For example, what is this issue about? What's going on here? Should we decide now? Is this the right time to make a decision, or can we postpone it? Here, when we talk about postponement, we are not meaning procrastination. We may be postponing a decision for want of information, or we may be looking for some additional opportunities to emerge. So this is not the sunk cost, this is not the status quo bias, but this is a pragmatic way of delaying a decision. What is the gravity of the situation? When we decide now, what will be the gravity? If we postpone, what will be the gravity? What is the gravity of the situation? Can we postpone this decision? Is this a risk situation or an uncertainty situation? We have discussed a lot about this in our earlier lectures. Should I decide, or is this decision made by someone else in the team? Good leaders are the ones who do not make all the decisions by themselves. They will enable their team to make decisions. They will only fine-tune, establish a decision-making process than sitting on every decisions. That is the hallmark of a good leader. In the processes, the set of processes that we have seen in this, which is the process that is the most challenging? If that is the case, should we seek some external help for handling that process? And with all these things, if a leader, a true leader, has to make a decision in this situation, how will he go about making a decision? That's sort of a benchmark. So these are all the vital questions that we need to consider before making when you are in the meta decision stage, and that is what I would like to share with you as a part of this short lecture on meta decision. I have given a set of questions here, and then they are connected with all these points that I just described to you. Try to connect these questions with those points and then see what would be the most appropriate answers for them. Thanks for watching.